Just 3 days after the Russian invasion, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz made an emergency announcement to the world. He declared that the German military was now at a Zeitenwende, or turning point, and outlined the nation's plan to reclaim its position as Europe's military powerhouse. But how does Scholz plan to accomplish this? Well, it all starts with a large shopping list of high-tech military gear and a mighty spending budget of around 100 billion euros. But first, how did the German armed forces get into such disrepair? Within 3 days of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Chancellor Scholz recognized that Europe was entering a new era. Although West Germany had a formidable military during the Cold War, the Bundeswehr fell into disrepair after the collapse of the Soviet Union and its eventual reunification. A 2017 review revealed shocking levels of unpreparedness. Only 65 out of 221 jets and 16 of 72 helicopters were operational. The Army and the Navy weren't any better off either, with less than half of their Leopard tanks and frigates ready for action, and all 6 of their submarines non-operational. By 2021, despite claims that readiness rates had improved, many older systems remained below their benchmark of 50% readiness. 2 main factors contributed to this stagnation in capabilities: the lack of public support and chronic underfunding. The consequences of World War II had led many Germans to oppose having a strong military, which has resulted in Germany's defense spending lagging behind many of its peers. To address this, Chancellor Scholz announced a 100 billion euro fund to modernize Germany's armed forces, with all of that cash being split between the Army, Navy, Air Force, and joint defense infrastructure projects. But what is all this money actually buying? Starting with the German Army, the Bundeswehr is totally revamping its ground force to make it a truly lethal and self-supporting organization. Currently, the German Army has 3 standing divisions, 2 mechanized and a rapid forces division that includes airborne, mountain, and light infantry components. Over the years, in addition to existing equipment falling into disrepair, there's never been enough to arm and equip each division fully. Instead, the Bundeswehr has been sharing equipment between formations. The Special Fund aims to change that, fully equipping each division to full strength and making the German Army a true Army Corps instead of just a hodgepodge of semi-independent units. As part of this initiative to fully equip its mechanized divisions, the Bundeswehr has already spent more than 2 billion euros acquiring Puma infantry fighting vehicles. The Puma infantry fighting vehicle, or IFV, is a state-of-the-art armored vehicle that consistently ranks among the top 5 best IFVs in the world. First entering operational service in 2015, the Puma was designed to replace the aging Marder IFV that had been in service with the Bundeswehr since the 1970s. Armed with a powerful 30mm autocannon and Israeli-made anti-tank guided missile launcher, the Puma is equipped to take out a variety of threats on both land and in the air. With a powerful fire control system, the Puma can easily engage multiple targets up to 3,000 meters away. However, it's not just the armament that makes the Puma better than the Marder. Its armor package makes it dominant on the battlefield. The Puma comes standard with modular armor systems that provide ballistic protection against small arms, mines, IEDs, and RPGs. The Bundeswehr has bought 50, approved funding for about 25 more, and has the option to buy another 180. With roughly 350 Pumas in active service, the numbers being procured will replace the Marders the Bundeswehr is retiring, since of the 360 currently in the Army, about 200 will be upgraded to serve past 2025. As more Pumas enter service, the mobility and survivability of Germany's mechanized formations will only increase. However, the Puma is not the only armored vehicle Germany's mechanized formations are getting. Currently, the main battle tank of the German military is the vaunted Leopard 2 MBT. With more than 3,600 produced over the past 50 years, the Leopard 2 is arguably one of the most successful European MBTs since the end of World War II. The Leopard has had a reputation for its reliability, maneuverability, and strong firepower. Because of this, it's become the tank of choice for more than 20 militaries worldwide. But that tank is not infallible. Heavy fighting in Ukraine has shown that despite all the Leopard 2's advances, even the densest minefields, never-ending artillery barrages, and constant attacks from loitering munitions can and will destroy them, given enough time. Because of this, the German military has been championing the newest version of the Leopard 2, the 2A8 version. The Leopard 2A8 has several advantages over previous Leopard 2 models. The first of these is an improved 120mm gun with increased velocity. which means more range and penetration power. The newest variant also has an engine with about 100 more horsepower than before, which gives it greater speed and mobility. Additionally, the two A8s have a better communication suite capable of handling more advanced crypto to keep communications secure. But the best improvement is in its active protection system. Unlike the MUS on the Puma, the Leopard 2A8 sports the Israeli-made Trophy active protection system. Many argue that the Trophy is the best APS system in the world, and its combat record speaks for itself. While the fog of war persists in Gaza, Trophy APS systems have performed dozens of successful shootdowns of anti-tank guided missiles and RPGs. With this enhanced protection and a newly domestically produced 360-degree sensor array providing better situational awareness, the Leopard 2A8 is a serious improvement on earlier models. The Germans bought 18 of the tanks in early 2024, and they plan to buy 105 more. That will be enough to fully equip Panzer Brigade 45 with brand new tanks. This unit, stationed on the Lithuanian border, will form the core armored component against any potential Russian invasion of the Baltics. But these divisions need more than armored vehicles to fight. They also need a great way to get around the battlefield. Germany has committed to doing so by buying 367 collaborative all-terrain vehicles, or CATVs. At a cost of more than 1.4 billion euros, the CATV program is a joint effort between Germany, the UK, and Sweden to develop a standard model of the tracked BVS-10. Originally a Swedish design, the BVS-10, now the CATV, is the perfect way to transport an infantry squad anywhere, no matter what. Equipped with a super turbocharged Cummins diesel engine, the CATV can travel at road speeds of up to 43 miles per hour with a range of around 500 kilometers. The CATV offers armored protection against small arms, artillery fragments, mines, and IEDs. With the standard version, the main cab can carry 4 passengers, and if the rear car is added, the CATV can ferry 8 more soldiers. Armed with either a 5.56mm or 50 caliber machine gun and a 40mm grenade launcher, the CATV is the perfect tool to ferry troops over rough, muddy terrain that might bog down vehicles like the Puma. In addition, the CATV is fully amphibious and has no fording limits. In fact, it can be deployed from the well decks of ships for amphibious assaults on enemy beaches. This capability means that the German Army and the Marine Corps can conduct joint attacks with the same equipment. They're the perfect battle taxi in an era where muddy trench warfare has made a comeback, and where Russia will purposefully flood areas to deny access, such as when the Russians blew up the Kakhovka Dam in Kherson Oblast. But the CATV is not the only new and improved battle taxi the German army is getting. The Caracal is the latest light infantry vehicle that aims to be the jack of all trades for Germany's mechanized formations, and they've ordered 1,004 of them at a cost of 1.4 billion euros. Coming standard with a 5-speed automatic Mercedes transmission, the Caracal has a road speed of 75 miles per hour and a range of almost 520 miles on a single tank of gas. While the Caracal is meant to serve in armored formations, it is not an armored vehicle. While it can get armored upgrades that can deflect mine blasts, IED detonations, and small arms fire, it will not survive, say, a direct tank or artillery shell hit. So why is the Bundeswehr ordering so many of them? The answer is versatility. The Caracal comes in more than 30 different variants, from sporting 7.62mm general-purpose machine guns to a 50 caliber machine gun, a 40mm grenade launcher, 81mm mortars, or anti-tank guided missiles. The Caracal can be a gun truck suited for almost any threat. In addition to this, the Caracal is air mobile, with the capability to be parachuted into action or ferried by a Chinook helicopter. But that's not all it can do. The Caracal can be configured to carry out a wide range of battlefield missions, from being an ambulance to a command post and so much more. What the Caracal can do on the battlefield is only limited by one's imagination. The Bundeswehr intends to make good use of the vehicle in combat to allow commanders to customize their equipment to the task at hand. However, with all of this new equipment on the battlefield, there's currently a mishmash of communication systems due to the confluence of both domestically produced and foreign-bought gear. As a result, Germany is spending more than 200 million euros on integrating its ground-based communications in an effort it calls the Digitization of Land-Based Operations, or DLBO. Germany's DLBO effort is multifaceted and spearheaded by Thales Defense and Security. The goal of the DLBO program is to share real-time data from sensors and shooters at the tactical level with the operational and strategic levels of command. By equipping every vehicle and mobile command post with new radios, more advanced encryption, and hardened networks, the goal is to make every squad almost like its own intelligence gathering tool, able to feed higher-level commanders information about the battle space in real time as events unfold. Having these hardened communications networks will greatly enhance the Army's lethality by ensuring units share a common tactical picture, and there is no communication breakdown since there are now multiple redundant forms of secure comms. The importance of combat communications cannot be understated. As seen during the war in Ukraine, especially during the first few weeks, Russian troops were speaking in the clear on unencrypted radio frequencies, even on cellular phones to direct battles. Having secure comms will ensure information is protected from prying ears and enhance operational security. But enough about the Army. How has the German Navy been using its money? The only submarine in service with the German Navy is the Type 212A. First entering service in 2005, the Type 212A was a very advanced submarine for its time. However, times have changed, and for it to survive in a modern conflict, the submarine needs some serious revamping. Because of this, the German and Norwegian navies teamed up in 2017 to create the Type 212CD. In 2021, both countries inked an agreement to purchase 6 subs for €5.5 billion, with Germany getting 2 of them. However, recent data released by the German Navy shows they want to purchase at least 6 more. So how is the Type 212CD better than the Type 212A? One of the biggest changes is in its propulsion system, what's called an air-independent propulsion, or AIP. Traditional diesel-electric submarines work by coming to the surface to run diesel generators to create power. This power is then stored in batteries that allow the submarine to operate quietly underwater. While diesel-electric submarines are very good when on battery power, they are vulnerable near the surface, and they make a lot of noise when charging their batteries because they have to be at snorkel depth to allow the fumes from the generators to escape. AIP submarines are better since they can charge their batteries underwater using alternative fuels like hydrogen to create energy. Of course, this fuel supply is not unlimited and it must be used sparingly. But when done right, the sub can stay submerged for weeks. The Type 212CD submarine has better fuel cell technology that allows it to stay submerged longer. This makes the sub less vulnerable than before, since it doesn't have to surface nearly as much. However, that's not the only improvement. Another major improvement is the Orca Battle Management System. Like Aegis for U.S. surface combatants, the Orca Battle Management System takes inputs from sensors across the boat and figures out what to do with it. By interpreting data and presenting fire control solutions faster than before, the new Type 212CD boats are more lethal and need fewer people. However, that's not their biggest advantage. While the Type 212A boats were well armed with torpedoes, missiles, and mines, the Type 212CD has a revolutionary weapon called the Naval Strike Missile, or NSM. This is the latest and greatest anti-ship missile across Western militaries. It replaces the age-old Harpoon missile and can follow very complicated flight guidance that allows the missile to fly further and more tactically than the Harpoon. With a fleet of 8 of these submarines, the German Navy would have no problem contesting control of the Baltic Sea from Russia in a time of war. However, naval battles are not just won with submarines. So, the German Navy is heavily investing in several new types of ships, the first of which are the Type 126 frigates. The Type 126 frigate is not new. First introduced in 2020 as a replacement for the aging Type 123 Brandenburg-class frigates, the German Navy spent $5.5 billion on the first batch of 4 vessels. Because of this, no Type 126 ships are actually in service yet, with construction on the first only beginning last year. However, in June 2024, the Navy requested and was approved to purchase 2 more Type 126 frigates, bringing the fleet total to 6 ships in the class. So what does the Type 126 bring to the fight? Compared to the Type 123, the 126 basically has twice the firepower. Not only is the ship longer, wider, and weighs twice as much as the Brandenburg class, but the new Type 126s have a lot of deadlier armament. While the Type 123 class featured a 76mm gun, some rolling airframe missiles, Sea Sparrow missiles, and torpedoes, the Type 126 is heavily armed to the teeth for almost any fight. For surface engagements, the Type 126 has its main battery of a 5-inch gun up forward, 2 remote-controlled 27mm guns, 2 remote-controlled 50-caliber gun stations, multiple crew-served weapon mounts, and 8 NSM missiles for taking out other ships. For air engagements, the Type 126 has 16 vertical launch system cells stuffed with quad packs of evolved Sea Sparrow missiles that allow it to shoot up to 64 of them. In addition to this, it has 2 RIM-116 rolling airframe missile systems for point air defense. But what about anti-submarine warfare? Because the Type 126's primary mission is anti-submarine warfare, or ASW, the ship comes standard with 2 NH-90 Sea Tiger ASW helicopters capable of deploying dipping sonar and torpedoes. But herein lies the major difference between the two ship classes. The Brandenburg class comes standard with a hull-mounted array, while the Type 126 has a towed array only. One of the main benefits of the towed array is that it can be lowered to deeper depths than a hull-mounted array, since hull-mounted arrays are fixed to the hull. The towed array also provides a shallower draft and greater speed through the water, allowing the Type 126 to hunt submarines in places the Type 123 simply could not go. But this isn't the only surface ship the German Navy has bought. In the summer of 2023, the German government signed a secret agreement with the German shipbuilder NVL to procure 3 new intelligence collection ships. These ships, dubbed the Type 424 Fleet Service ships, will replace decades-old Type 423 Oste-class AGIs that have been in service since the 1980s. Because the German government has been so tight-lipped about this $3.3 billion deal, we don't know exactly how capable these new ships are, but we can make a few good guesses. Considering that these Oste-class ships were from the 1980s, they do not have the latest and greatest technology. Due to the advances in signals collection technology since then, the new Type 424 ships can pick up on a broader range of radar and radio frequencies, along with better and faster data links. With the addition of these new ships by 2031, the German Navy will have a very powerful intelligence asset that could identify all sorts of Russian ships and aircraft long before the Russians ever come close to the German or NATO fleets. But the German Navy is not only buying assets to increase its awareness of the water, it also is heavily investing in its naval air arm to completely revamp it. Over the past decade, Germany has relied on legacy P-3 Orion aircraft as one of its only maritime surveillance and ASW aircraft. After working with France for years on a new European-made platform similar to the P-3, the partnership fell through, and Germany was forced to look elsewhere for its aircraft. In 2021, the German Navy partnered with Boeing and became the latest customer to have the vaunted P-8 Poseidon in its inventory. So just how good is the P-8? One of the best parts about the P-8 is that it is basically like a weaponized jetliner, with the ability to carry a wide array of electro-optical infrared thermal imaging and synthetic aperture radar. The P-8 is the gold standard when it comes to maritime intelligence gathering. But that's not all it can do. Thanks to its powerful AN/APY-10 radar and magnetic anomaly detector, the P-8 can sniff out surface ships and enemy submarines from miles away. This, combined with the fact that the P-8 can cover areas of hundreds of square miles in a matter of hours, makes it the ideal aircraft for finding enemy naval forces. But the P-8 can also have some teeth to it, and a lot of them. With its anti-ship Harpoon missiles, the P-8 can engage virtually any surface ship it finds. In addition, the P-8 can drop hundreds of sonobuoys to help triangulate a submarine's location. These buoys can either be passive or active, and their data is sent in real time to the P-8 to fix and target submarines. It can do so through acoustic homing torpedoes and even depth charges if the loadout calls for them. Last summer, the German Navy contracted with Boeing to get 3 more P-8s to phase out a one-for-one swap of their existing P-3 aircraft. Once the last P-3 is retired, the German Navy will have 8 P-8 aircraft. With such a force in place, the German Navy will have a complete coverage over the North Sea and the Baltic Sea, so no Russian submarines can make it to the North Atlantic without being spotted. However, the German Navy is not the only service that's been getting some new aircraft. At $41 billion, the German Luftwaffe has actually gotten the most money from this special fund, and they have been making some pretty big purchases. At the end of 2022, the German Air Force brokered a deal with the US that ended a multi-year effort to acquire F-35 fighters. With a sticker price of 8.3 billion euros, this is the single largest individual arms purchase made since Germany began rearming. The deal will deliver 35 aircraft to reach initial operational capability by 2028. It will have a huge impact on future deterrence with Russia. While the capabilities and amazing technology that surround the F-35 is very well known, Germany did not explicitly buy the aircraft to make it the crown jewel of its fighter arm. Instead, they procured it to act as part of NATO's nuclear deterrent. Currently, the German Air Force operates about 93 Tornado aircraft, of which 30 are electronic warfare versions and 63 are the interdiction and strike versions. The Tornado is a British-designed aircraft that is combat-proven, having seen service all over the world. However, it's also very old. First introduced in the 1970s, Germany's Tornado fleet is now more than 40 years old. The main reason Germany has not gotten rid of the ones it still has is that it needs them to be capable of carrying B-61 nuclear bombs. Scrapping them denies the Luftwaffe this capability, so they need the F-35 to do the job. With the arrival of 35 F-35s, Germany will have a very powerful nuclear-capable air arm. The B-61 is a variable-sized nuclear bomb with yields ranging from less than half a kiloton to more than 350 kilotons. By having an aircraft like the F-35 being nuclear-capable, Russian forces will be hard-pressed to do anything to mess with Germany, since they now have a very powerful weapon capable of penetrating Russian air defenses to deliver the ultimate weapon. The Air Force has also been getting more conventional weapons too, and chief amongst those is the vaunted CH-47 Chinook helicopter. While it might seem surprising, Germany's second-ranked arms purchase was 60 Chinooks for 7.2 billion euros. So why does Germany care so much about a transport helicopter? Even though it might not seem like it, the Chinook is one of the most versatile pieces of military hardware on the battlefield. With its iconic dual-rotor design, the Chinook is a heavy-lift helicopter capable of carrying trucks, armored vehicles, artillery pieces, water, ammunition, and basically anything that can be palletized. Between its internal cargo bay and its hook system underneath the aircraft, the Chinook can haul up to 27,700 pounds of stuff anywhere on the battlefield in a hurry. Because of this, the German Air Force is replacing its entire fleet of aging CH-53 Sea Stallions with the Chinook. The Germans did not opt for an old hand-me-down version. They bought the best one the US had to offer. The CH-47F is the newest version, and it offers several advanced capabilities not seen on previous Chinooks. Essentially, the new Chinooks keep the same airframe, but everything else has been changed. In the cockpit, the pilots have a fully digital cockpit known as the Common Avionics Architecture System. In addition, the newest versions of the Chinook have a digital automatic flight control system. This new system gives pilots enhanced flight controls in low visibility and poor weather conditions. It also gives greater assistance when performing complex operations like delivering troops onto a mountainside or keeping steady while soldiers hook up loads beneath the aircraft. In addition to these features, the CH-47F also has greater survivability. Equipped with a common missile warning system, the aircraft can detect incoming threats and automatically deploy flares or chaff to provide the best chance of survival, even if enemies can see the aircraft. Thanks to its infrared suppression system, the new Chinook's IR signature is greatly reduced, which gives it an advantage over the IR-seeking missiles that most man-portable systems use to down aircraft. With this new fleet of heavy-lift helicopters, the German Luftwaffe is poised better than ever before to provide battlefield assistance to the army for moving troops quickly. As we've seen in Ukraine, the ability to move troops to problem areas to plug defensive holes quickly is a required skill that will be needed in any future conflict with Russia. Another way that Germany is preparing itself and Europe for a future conflict with Russia is through its leadership in the European Sky Shield Initiative, or ESSI. The ESSI is a multinational effort amongst 21 European countries that have vowed to create a common air defense architecture to defend their skies from the kinds of Russian missiles, drones, and aircraft blanketing Ukrainian skies. The effort is complex, and it encompasses numerous types of European radars, ships, and aircraft. But the ESSI's real power rests in its core strategy for shooting down incoming missiles. The multi-tiered missile architecture includes German-made IRIS-T missiles for short-range engagements, American-made Patriots for medium ranges, and Israeli-produced Arrow 3 systems for anti-ballistic missile defense. At this turning point, Germany has procured large numbers of IRIS-T and Arrow 3 batteries, since it already has multiple Patriot systems. The German Luftwaffe bought 8 IRIS-T batteries for 950 million euros. The IRIS-T, short for Infrared Imaging System Tail Thrust Vector Controlled, is considered one of the world's premier point defense anti-air weapons. Though the missiles have a range of only around 15 miles, they are extremely capable. Thanks to its high-resolution infrared imaging seeker, the IRIS-T can easily distinguish aircraft, drones, and missiles, as well as their associated parts and pieces that might fall off like a booster. Due to its thrust vectoring capability, practically nothing can outrun it, since the missile can pull off some serious G-forces as it homes in on the target. Rounding out the German air defense purchases is the Israeli Arrow 3 missile. In 2023, the German government signed a €4 billion deal with Israel to produce an undefined number of Arrow 3 batteries. The Arrow 3 is the culmination of decades of joint development between the US and Israel to create a weapon capable of shooting down incoming ballistic missiles. It is Israel's premier long-range air defense weapon. Traveling up to speeds of Mach 9, the Arrow 3 can successfully intercept targets up to 1,500 miles away. And the coolest part about it is that the missile is so precise, it doesn't have to have a warhead. Its kill mechanism is literally hitting an incoming missile with skin-to-skin contact. Thankfully for Germany, the Arrow 3 has already been combat tested by Israel on multiple occasions. With its first combat debut in November 2023, the Arrow 3 has shot down multiple incoming ballistic missiles during Israel's war in Gaza. With the addition of the IRIS-T and Arrow 3 to Germany's arsenal, it'll serve as the bulwark of Europe's air defense network should Russia ever try to send missiles, drones, or planes into European airspace. However, as part of this initiative, the German military has been working on more than just acquiring physical weapons, it's also working on logistics and long-term recruitment efforts. As part of the effort to rebuild the Navy, the German government offered to purchase the defunct MV Werften's Rostock shipyard. The deal, which German media estimated to be around €88 million, was an important part of the Navy's rearmament efforts. With only a handful of shipyards currently under the Navy's control, adding another one will help alleviate maintenance woes while keeping up the production of ships and submarines. The German government also is invested in a new munitions production facility. In February 2024, German arms manufacturer Rheinmetall broke ground on Werk Niedersachsen in northern Germany. The factory will produce all types of munitions, including artillery shells, rocket artillery components, RDX explosives, and other munitions. When fully operational, the factory will produce 200,000 artillery shells per year. After this capability has been reached, Germany will not only be able to supply Ukraine with vast quantities of ammunition, but also rebuild its own stockpiles. But isn't having a huge amount of artillery something from the past? Well, not really. During the war in Ukraine, Russian forces sometimes fired up to 20,000 artillery shells per day. While this pales in comparison to the roughly 250,000 shells fired on the Western Front each day of World War I, this level of shelling is the most since World War II. Therefore, building up this capability now will help keep the guns firing later, when needed the most. The Bundeswehr has also been moving toward increasing the size of its military. Currently, there are around 180,000 active duty members and about 200,000 reservists. By 2031, Germany wants to increase these numbers to 203,000 active duty members and more than 60,000 more reservists. The reason for this is because in a full-scale war, Germany wants to be able to mobilize around 460,000 troops, the number it needs to defend German borders. But getting there is a bit of a problem. Because Germany abolished the draft in 2011, it's relied on an all-volunteer force since then. However, recruitment has been historically low. Because of this, German leadership wants to bring back a limited draft. How it would work is every male German who turns 18 would be required to fill out a questionnaire about their desire for military service. Recruiters would then screen them and call the top 10 most interested for physical examinations and background checks. Those who pass them would be encouraged to join, and if not enough people volunteer, the men would be drafted to serve 6-month terms that can be voluntarily extended another 17 months. German women could also join, but they would not be forced to do so like the men. It's hoped that Germany will stop hemorrhaging people through a limited draft and grow to meet its projected needs. But whether or not Germany will bring back a draft is irrelevant, since with the huge stockpiles of equipment already bought and the €57 billion still on the table, the Bundeswehr of tomorrow will be the most capable it's been since the Wehrmacht of 1939. Now go check out military tech that will be nightmare for China and Russia, or this other video.